You are now listening to Lifestyle After Five with the host Ali Muhammad and M. Redmond.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode. We just, Veterans Day just passed. We just had Veterans Day on Saturday and the Marine Corps birthday on November 10th. So it's this time of year again. It's getting late. So we got a treat for especially you veterans. We got JReid in the house from Reid Health Incorporated. Welcome to the show, JReid.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me again. Yeah, we this is perfect timing, like you said. Around this time, a lot of stuff is going on with veterans, and we need to understand that it's not just about no, hey, let's support the troops and stuff like that. There's veterans out there that really need help. There's veterans out there that serve their country and they need help with their benefits. They need help counseling. They need help dealing with stuff they saw, the injuries. So ReidinHealth Inc. is that company that's here to do that. And I'm a veteran myself, so I don't just empathize. I understand the plight going through the VA process and going from 10 to 100 and all that stuff. Now that I have the knowledge, I have the nursing background and the licensing, started this company, ReidinHealth, to help veterans get that benefit that they deserve and for a very affordable price. Three times the increase of whatever they make. Nothing if they don't win their claim up front, the increase, then there's nothing there for them to worry about. So that's
Now we're
pretty
going
much our speed.
Now we're going to dig into that a little bit later, Jay. So
Absolutely.
that I know the veterans have a lot of questions out there. There's so many resources. There's veteran service officers. There's
Yep.
attorneys out there, and everywhere you turn is somebody claiming to help veterans get their benefits. And I won't say 9 times out of 10, but from some of my personal experiences, many of these avenues turn
Absolutely.
into frustration and a very long,
Yeah.
long wait to get your benefits.
Absolutely.
But tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about, first of all, how you came into this line of work and about your company.
Sure. All day, man. It really started off as me being this 17-year-old young milk on the tongue, want to go to school and get money for college and serve my country at the same time. And I was literally just graduated high school. 3 months later, I was in boot camp and still, again, young. My mom had to sign for me the whole nine. Um, 2 weeks before boot camp, 9/11. Great timing on my part. That was when everything really hit the fan for me. And fast forward, got out the military at 22, had 10% for my back, and 13 years went by, and I'm suffering in silence. I'm angry. I can't sleep. I'm going off on people at my job because I'm not understanding that being in pain all the time is a trigger for mental health because we just suck it up. As veterans are trained to do that. Long story short, previous company I used to work for, went with them. They helped me reach to 100% P&T, and then I realized that there's so many other avenues besides claims and besides that veterans and other non-veterans would need help with. So ReidinHealth was kind of born out of adversity by being displaced from a previous company, wanting to move, and us wanted to move in a different direction and be more about people over profit. Like I can't stress that enough. That's what we're about. And a lot of companies get into this, like Ali was saying, and they become a machine and they become profit over people. Then you're not taking care of the person, the veteran. All you see is the claim. All you see is that compensation you're going to get if they win. And you're not seeing, hey, this guy is going through a divorce and he may not respond to me this week because he just can't. And he may need me just to reach out, say, hey, brother, thinking about you, keep your head up. It doesn't even have to be about the claim. We want to take care of the whole person. So it really encouraged me and my wife after what happened to us with the previous company of being wrongfully terminated, so on and so forth. And that's a whole nother conversation. But we had a choice as healthcare workers to go back to the States because we're here in Panama. That's part of being 100% P&T gave us that opportunity to move over
Mhm.
here, especially for my mental health. That was a huge part of it. And it's been tremendous in the year and a half I've been over here. I couldn't have done it without having my 100% permanent total. And that's what really drives me because I know that weight, that anxiety, that, oh my God, if I can't work in 5 years because of this back or this knee or this mental health or this PTSD, I don't know what I'm going to do because I have no cushion. I have nothing coming in as income and I can't keep a job because I'm always X, Y, or Z. So having that feeling, I felt like I would be remiss if I didn't try to pay that forward. I could simply go back to healthcare. I have my bachelor's degree. On my way to get my master's, I can go back to the bedside and do that. But my wife and I both looked at each other and we were like, we can't unsee it now, guys. We see the disparity with the veterans. We see the help they need. We see the miscommunication, the misinformation out there, whether it be from YouTube videos, other companies, Joe Blow on YouTube that just doesn't have any background in what they're talking about, whether it be healthcare or VA, and just giving bad information to veterans, and then they're going and messing up their claims. I say that to say this, though. I will never sit here and tell any veteran not to use the free services that the VA offers. I'm a disclaimer up front. ReidinHealth, we're not accredited by the VA, but we're licensed professionals in healthcare with degrees and also experience in helping veterans with claims for over 4 years, helping them get to 100%, live a better life, stuff like that. So in that sense, they're in the right hands. And the best part about it is they're 3 times the increase is the selling point, is the big point there, because we didn't want it to be this thing where veterans were worried about having to spend the amount of money to, take away their college funds for their kids or a car they could have bought just to get some help for their claims. And there's that. VSOs, veteran service officers, I'm going to touch on those because, again, I don't want the energy to be like, don't use any companies at all. No other company can help you, or the VA is just completely bad, because that's not the truth. But there's a difference in the type of help that the VA can give you versus independent companies or people that are not accredited. Accredited agents like VSOs, they can file your claim for you. They can log in on va.gov. They can represent you. They could be a power of attorney for your claim. They can do all of that stuff. What they can't do is send you to a doctor to get medical evidence. They can send you to the VA, but they won't write a nexus statement or IMO for you. They can submit your claim for you, but they don't have to tell you that you're missing evidence. They don't have to tell you all that stuff. They're literally there to help you just physically submit your claim. A lot of times what they do, they'll submit like 20 claims at once sometimes, and then all of a sudden the veteran is stuck in this process forever and ever because they combined too many claims and they didn't do it the
Most
right
of them
way.
like, let's go to the judge. It's been my experience
That
with
is
dealing with a
yeah.
VSO. Well, we're just gonna send it straight to the judge, and you're like, oh yeah,
Right.
that's great. But that's 5 years down, if you're lucky, 5 years down the road,
Yeah.
waiting on a judge to pick up your claim.
Yeah.
Now you touched
And it's
on
sad. Go ahead, brother.
now you touched on a few key points when you were talking about the breaking it down into what your company offer. Now you mentioned 3 times the increase. Now some may be a little confused as to what does that mean.
Absolutely. And yeah, and I know, and the way the VA math works, it makes it very difficult to find a different way to explain that without saying, and I know you know what I mean, Ali, because it does literally go by increase. So I'll use simple math. That way the listeners out there can understand. So a veteran comes to me and these numbers are not accurate, it's just examples. A veteran comes to me at 50%, and when they were at 50%, they were making $1,000 a month through the VA. They come to us, we help them, and say they jump from 50% all the way to 80%. And the difference between the 50 and the 80, as far as how much they're getting paid, is the difference. So if that difference is $1,000, then all they owe is 3 times that. Done. That's it. So if they don't get an increase, yeah, one time. If they don't get an increase, and that's the beauty of it. If we file a claim and the first time around you don't get the decision that you deserve, you don't owe anything. It's only if you get that increase at the end of the day that you have, and that's money that you didn't have before. And that's the point that is really potent for veterans to wrap their head around this, because a lot of times all they say is, well, why should I have to pay this amount of money or whatever to get help with the claims? I can go to the VA. So like Ali was saying, or the lawyer, stuff like that. But with lawyers, and I'll piggyback on what he's saying, they kind of work off of the back pay, like you said. So if you send a veteran to a judge, typically those take months, sometimes years, 10 years in his in his case. And the back pay just sits there and marinate. And there's things you can do in the meantime to get the claim solved quicker, but you're not going to get as much back pay. So once you win, the lawyers come swoop back in, whether they helped you along the way or not.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes 30 to 40% of your back pay in their pocket, and you haven't heard from them in 5-10 years. And that's true story. And Ali could attest to that. And again, not all lawyers, and I always have to make a disclaimer, not all lawyers are out there to do that, but they make their compensation off of the back pay. And that's the difference between ReidinHealth. We don't care about your back pay. We don't touch your back pay. That's your back pay. If you want to use it to pay off a car or your whatever, so be it. If you want to use it to try to pay your 3 times the increase, so be it, but it's not obligatory. But that's the difference between us and lawyers. So the other part of it too, other agents out there are not accredited, and the VA is kind of having a microscope under them and saying, okay, we don't want unaccredited people helping veterans with claims, go to a VSO or go to this person. But you and I both know going to a VSO is not a guarantee that you're going to get help with your claim the way you need to. Because again, they can't provide you with a nexus letter. They can't provide you with an IMO. And sometimes, and I'll go over what those are. Independent medical opinion is what's called an IMO. So say, for instance, you had a mental health claim and you needed an independent medical opinion from a doctor. The VSO can't sit there and write you that independent medical opinion to connect your mental health to your service. They can't do that. They can't even say, hey, I have this doctor I know that can write it for you. Legally, they can't do that. All they can do is send you to the VA. And what the VA is going to do is not write you a nexus letter. That's the whole reason why we even have a company. If the VA and these were doing what they were supposed to do, we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. Ali, you would have been cool. You would have got your service connection before you even met me. We'd have got out of service, good to go. So
Exactly.
there's a need out there. Yeah, absolutely, man. So we're
Now,
here to
just
help
to
the
be
vets. Yeah, go ahead.
just to be clear and to clear this up, they only will write nexus letter if there is a true and bona fide link to your illness to what you are claiming.
Yes, and that's only from a licensed medical professional. VSOs, lawyers cannot do it. And that's the thing that's confusing for a lot of vets, because the VA will try to make veterans feel that if they go get a DBQ or a disability questionnaire and get it filled out by a doctor, that they can't use it because it was not from the VA. And that's not true. Anytime you have a medical doctor giving you medical evidence, it's credible. The VA can't come back and say, oh, you can't use that. And that's what they try to make you think, like you can only use the VA doctors or you can only use the VSOs. And that's completely false. And proof is in the pudding. 4 years of doing this, not using VSOs and getting veterans the benefits.
No, I can speak
Go
from
ahead,
my
Ali.
own experience. With those questionnaires, most of the medical doctors I have dealt with will not help you. They don't want no parts of that. They don't want to help you out at all. When you say, hey, what is it? No, I can't get into, you're trying to get veterans benefits or whatever. No, I don't want to touch that. I don't do that. And they will back away from you.
Tough.
And I have had the experience of dealing with a VSO and an attorney, and I'm speaking from my experience.
Of course.
VSO is free, as JReid spoke. But like I said, I go in there and it's straight to the judge. There is, and you're looking at 5, sometimes 10 years. And prior to that, I after not getting any luck with the VSO, and some are very good, I did try an attorney, and the attorney pretty much lost every case when it came up. They helped me file my claim and everything. We get up and I'm thinking some of these claims should have been slam dunk. We lose. And then they're just constantly kicking the can down the road. I'll get you a nexus letter next time. We go up. We get ready to go up again. No nexus letter, no doctor, none of this. We lose. And I'm like, well, what good are you? And he's just constantly kicking the can down the road. And so I pretty much found JReid and his former company at the time online, and I was listening to some of because it's all about strategy. You just can't go to the VA. You got a leg pain. Unfortunately, this is the veterans. You have to have a strategy. You just can't go and say, "Hey, I got leg pain," and you really got leg pain, and your pain has been bothering you since the military. You can say that because that's not a diagnosis. You must use the proper terminology and have your medical profession say the right thing, or they will deny you. I mean, they'll treat
All
you
day.
and they'll go all day. Yeah, he got leg pain, but
But it's
he
not
didn't
our
say it
fault.
right, so we're not going to give him his benefit. And so you're going to be very frustrated, like, you treating me for this. How am I losing my claim? Now you're saying I don't have it. And they'll sit there with a straight face and a smile on their
All
face
day.
and catch you up. Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, I can see where you hurting and everything. And then next thing you know, they'll go right against you as soon as you walk out of that doctor's office. And I'm talking about the VA. And so
Let me
yeah,
ask you. Let me ask
Yeah.
you a question, both of y'all, because it
Yeah.
sounds so. In y'all opinion, with y'all experience with them, it seems like the system is set up for y'all not to get paid.
absolutely. I will go. I will
Uh, go ahead.
me having no
I'll
affiliation,
rebuttal, but
I
I'll let
will
you talk,
say
Ali.
it is set up basically, and this is my opinion, and as a veteran going through their
Of
system,
course.
it is my opinion. I feel they want to drag this out until you die, and hopefully your
Wait.
family don't come for the remaining of for the claim that you file any back pay or pursue it. They want to drag it out as long as you can, hopefully that you'll die first and can't put in any more claims or whatever. But no, it's set up for you to fail. Matter of fact, the first go for, I think her name was, I think it was Sandra or whatever. It was the black female that got captured in one of the wars or whatever. She got shot in both ankles.
Mm.
And she filed a claim and the VA gave her 30%. Jesse Jackson had to step in there to get her 100%. Now here she was a POW,
Wow.
Wow.
black female.
That's
I have to Google her
Tuesday.
and get you an answer. But yeah, this
Yeah.
is the games that the VA play in going through these systems. And being a young veteran, I didn't understand that, how to play the game. I remember when I was getting ready to out process out of the Air Force, a colonel came to me one day. Well, he was in the same class as I was in. He was out processing as well. He's getting ready to retire. And he was very frustrated because, he was like everybody else, I'm just going to work. I'm not going to go to the doctor. I'm going to suck it up. And he was upset because they denied him for everything. And he can't, I never forget his wisdom. He told me, he's like, hey, while you in, you go to the doctor for any and everything, because the minute you get
Absolutely.
out trying to be a good soldier, airman, or seller, whatever you are, they're going to treat you like dirt when you go in there and say, I was exposed to this. Well, you never went to the doctor for it, so there's no medical
Exactly.
evidence.
Wow.
And
It's
like I
not
said,
documented. It didn't happen
the
in their eyes
attorney,
anyway.
exactly. And so just to sum up of my experience, I dealt with an attorney, I want to say for at least 8 years, absolutely nothing. I did all the research. Matter of fact, I started employing some of the strategies that JReid had employed and had put out there. And I actually started to win a few cases based off the strategies of JReid and his company had provided. But now I got the lawyer sitting there parachuting in, taking credit for it. I'm the one telling the lawyer what to do and how to do it. They literally done nothing but just file
This
claims.
is the truth.
And
It's
so
Get
then
paid.
I
sad,
sent them, I tried to fire them. And I sent the letter saying, hey, you know what? I no longer want to be a part. They agreed or whatever, be a part of them. They're not helping me, and the VA agreed. And I'm still fighting this beef. So I began working with JReid. Never forget, I think I was at 70, I gotten up to 70%, I think, when I met you. Somewhere around 60, 70%.
I think it was 60 or 70.
60 or 70%. Now, mind you, I had a sleep apnea claim in that I had had in since 2010, 2011 or whatever, that was just constantly getting denied, constantly getting denied. And we had kicked it down to, at this point, when you came in, we were going to the judge with that. And you came in and I think you gave me some strategies, and I ended up getting allergic rhinitis that was in my medical records. And two, just another disclaimer, veterans don't make up claims. The VA will come get you. Have bona fide illnesses. No one's telling you to go claim something you don't have. So these is
Not at
bona
all.
fide illnesses and things that I suffer with that is in my medical records, and that I'm still getting treated for to this day. So just want to make that you will go to jail. And
And not
so
just that, before you get to jail, if I find out, or I don't want to say why, if a company finds out that you're into filing false claims, like we will cancel your contract on the spot. Like I don't play that at all.
yeah,
That's
we're not
a
into
whole nother
fraud.
thing.
So yeah, we're not
Nope,
into
not
fraud, but
promoting
let's
that at all.
discuss. But
Yup.
no,
And the thing about, go ahead.
but no, the thing about it with the strategy was I actually bona fide have sleep apnea. I mean, that's verified through 2 sleep apnea tests that I actually suffered from sleep apnea. But the problem was when I was in the military, I had no idea what sleep apnea was. I had it, but I just thought it was normal. And like a lot of veterans, you don't know. So I never got a test when I was there. But I also
Right.
suffered from allergic rhinitis, allergies while I was in. So I think you got me the 10% for the allergic rhinitis. So it was just a simple strategy of claiming that as a secondary condition versus a primary condition can make all the difference in the world. And you got me that claim that I had been playing with VSOs and attorneys with. Based off your strategy, I won that claim, and I could have bought a car with the back pay up on that. Then
Hell yeah.
you came to I think at that point you got me to like 90% at that point. And I remember thinking that it was gonna be months down the road. I said, you know, in 6 months I got another claim that I'm gonna
Try to
put in.
file.
I'm gonna put in. I'm gonna put in. It's probably gonna take me 6 months. You're like, no, I have you to 100 in a few months, and that was November. I
Awesome.
never will forget it. By January, one day I just so happened to be looking at my phone, and I looked in there, and it was 100%. I
Yeah.
didn't know what to do at that point. That's when I was like,
And
no,
I'm not
this man is
psychic.
the truth. But it
Yeah,
happened
I'm not.
for real.
Yeah, I'm not psychic or anything like that, but I definitely want to address to, and Ali, nothing you're saying is a lie, brother. Like I remember it like it was yesterday. I heard the desperation in your voice. I know that because I've been there, and I know a lot of the times we want to trust lawyers, we want to trust what the doctors are saying, we want to trust everything the VA is saying because they're supposed to be the ones looking out for us. But in everything in life, there's good and there's bad. So when it comes to the VA, it's not that they don't want to pay vets, because I don't want to, because when the VA is doing what they're supposed to do, they're doing what they're supposed to do. The problem is the way the VA is set up, there's not a lot of layman's education out there and layman's things for the VA. Like I'm gonna ask everybody on this call or on this radio cast right now, when have you ever seen somebody come on your television and say, "Hey Ali, hey Shu, hey Billy, hey Em, come down to the VA and I'll show you how to get your benefits to service connected, and I'll do it for free and don't worry about it." Any of you have ever heard or seen that commercial? There, it does not
No,
exist. So in
Never.
no.
that sense, right. So in that sense, we kind of, it's a word of mouth thing. It's a pay it forward thing. It's a, hey, I had this other battle buddy that got his service connection, and then it's like, yo, what did you do? Which company did you use? So in that sense, the VA, they're in the original way they were set up was as an insurance company, right?
Mhm.
What type of companies file claims? Insurance companies. So what are we
Yeah.
filing with the VA? Claims. So the way the system is set up, it's not broken, it's just set up like an insurance company. So the way they do that, think about it with healthcare. When you try to get healthcare, what do they always ask you? Do you have any pre-existing conditions, right? Because they don't
Mhm.
want to cover that or they can't cover that. The VA in their system, hey, did you have these headaches before you joined the military? That's a pre-existing condition. Guess what? We're not going to service connect that because you had headaches before you joined the military.
Mhm.
Granted, 99% of the human race has had a headache at some point
Right.
before you join the military. It's, come on. But that's the type of stuff that we face. So that's why I don't want the energy or the idea to be that the VA is purposely trying to take money from us, but it doesn't mean they're going to make it easy for you to do it. It's going to cost you legwork to the doctor. It's going to cost you having to have buckets of patients. As over here in Panama, they call it tranquilo, buckets of tranquilo to relax, because the hurry up and wait game is something that is really one of the hardest things for us veterans to overcome. It's okay, I submitted my claim, now what? You're sitting there for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and then you're still suffering that whole time. Your bills are still due. So the VA knows all this stuff. So that's what makes this process so tedious. And a lot of veterans, like Ali said, they will just give up, or they'll wait till they die out, because at that point they keep their money. But
Yeah.
I always encourage veterans. And again, when you say doctors don't want to write you nexus letters out there, sometimes that's the truth, but sometimes it's not their fault. And being in healthcare, I can explain a little bit further. Some hospitals, by their policy, will not allow their doctors to get involved in federal claims or VA claims. It's not that they have something against veterans and they don't want to help you out. It's literally their license is on the line if they do that, because it's a federal claim. Now,
But we
granted,
love the troops.
right, support the
All
support the
right,
troops
so
until you
let me
become a
ask you this:
veteran, right?
wouldn't you think
Sure.
that from serving your country or being a veteran, that this would be simple when you get now, just to sign and go? All right, man, we know you fucked up, so here go the money we owe you.
You must never
Bro.
heard of Vietnam.
You
I'm just
know
asking
what? No,
questions
he
that
raised a valid
I know
point.
that non-veteran
Right.
people gonna ask.
And this is the truth. And this is, how can I put this? When we raise our hands, no matter what branch of service you sign up for, when you raise your hand to, and again, keeping in the Veterans Day theme, when you raise your hand to serve your country, you're doing a lot of things before you even get there. You're putting out there to the world like, hey, no matter what happens, I'm putting my promise that I'm gonna go serve my country. I may not come back with my life, but I'm making this promise to go do this. When you ask, and then typically the ones that typically go to war, let's keep it real, the 17 to 25-year-olds are the ones that are out there dying most of the time in these wars, right? Are coming back messed up and stuff like that. So for me, when I got out, especially after what happened when 20 years later, all that stuff we did over there in Afghanistan and Iraq, pretty much it was bad, because I was in a bad mental space too, because I felt like all that sacrifice of being away from your family, going over there on holidays, spending my 18th birthday, Thanksgiving, all that in Afghanistan, to come back to find out like, what was it all for? And it's not to get political. It's, hey, these people in this country are still living the way they live. They have been doing that for however many thousands of years. You can't kill an ideology, right? You can kill a person, you can get rid of a person, but they're going to be 1,000 more with the same ideology that's going to spring up, and it's going to be a perpetual, never-ending thing. So at that sense, if you think about it, these people, since Jesus, Bible days, whatever you want to call it, this land has been fought over, and everybody is called. If you know any kind of history, you know that. That's the whole Middle East thing. That's not going to change. And me being over there and all those young kids going over there, not saying that we're not proud to serve our country, but now that we're out, getting out at 22, and now you can't bend over to pick up your kids. You can't play basketball in your 20s. You can't go out and go on a hike and party with your friends. You can't. I'm gonna give you something so simple that I thought about the other day that really triggered me too. And it's just, this is why I tell my veterans, you have to talk to the VA like a human being and not like an angry vet. I told one of my veterans that had a back problem. I say, hey, look, you keep saying that you're fine. You keep saying that your symptoms aren't that bad. Answer me this question. When you buy a plane ticket, right, and your flight is more than 2 or 3 hours, can you sit in economy, or do you have to fork up another $1,000 or so to go in business class or first class so you can have leg room and not seize up and not be able to get off the plane when after that 4 hours are done? Was that happening to you before you joined the military? 100% of the time, man, I never thought about it that way. I do have to spend an extra $2,000 or extra $1,000 to fly it over here because my back is jacked up, my knees are jacked up. All that's expenses and quality of life that you're missing out on because of these conditions, and people don't think about it that way. So with ReidinHealth, we try to make the veteran understand the whole picture. You know what I mean? The whole picture. You gotta just not take care of just one part and say you're in pain. Like Ali was saying, veterans will go to the VA and say they're in pain. Yes, the VA will say, yeah, I see you're in pain. I'm sorry for you, but guess what? Here's some pain meds, go kick rocks.
Motrin, 800
Go
milligram.
vitamin I, brother.
Are
You know
they
what? You
selling at
know it.
Walmart?
You already know it. And but with that caveat though, these conditions don't get better over time. You can tell veterans to take all the ibuprofen they want. And that's why I tell veterans when you go into these CMP exams, which is the compensation and pension, just for those who don't know what CMP stands for, it's the exams that the VA conducts after you submit your claim so you can get that service decision. No, once you get there, that's the most important day of all of this. They have to understand that your symptoms aren't just about pain. It's about the quality of life you're losing from the time you wake up, the time you go to sleep, work, school, social life, everything. Because pain alone, it's considered mental health when it comes to the VA. So they'll give you a 10% and give you some vitamin I, ibuprofen, and kick rocks, but they'll say, okay, then if you're in pain, you don't need compensation because you got medications, right? It goes beyond that. You have to say, hey, look, it's not just a pain, it's the lack of range of motion. It's I can't take a road trip with my family anymore because if I drive more than an hour, I'm dunsies. It's one of those things where if my migraines, I have to take 3 days a week, sometimes in a bad month off of work, and that's money out of my family's pocket because of these migraines I got caused from my service. So ReidinHealth is about helping veterans understand their symptoms, understand their conditions, and then file them the right way. Like with Ali, having the rhinitis service connected first made getting the sleep apnea way easier to do because in healthcare, we know which systems are connected. You can connect sleep apnea to a bunch of things, but there's always a path of least resistance. There's certain conditions that's a slam dunk if you connect it versus trying to go the long way because you're desperate and you just want to throw anything at the wall. At the end of the day, that will make the veteran way more frustrated, more willing to give up, and not have faith in the process that it can work. The process does work. And again, living proof right here,
I'm living
right
proof.
here. Exactly. It works. It's not an easy process. It's not a process that people wake up in the morning and say, hey, man, I can't wait to go file this VA claim because it's so much fun. It's so much fun. No, nobody
Not at
does that.
all.
But this is why we're here. This is why this company is here. This is why this company was birthed out of this because I know that feeling. Like I hate, I'm gonna be again 100% transparent with everybody listening. Most veterans, I know I'm not alone on this, so don't make me a liar. 90% of veterans hate going to the VA for any, or doctors, period, for any type of healthcare. But it is extremely important. Like you said, you gotta make those complaints because as much crap as people talk about the VA and us including at times because we're frustrated, they can't rate you for what they don't know. So if we continue to be macho, if we continue to minimize our symptoms, if we don't talk about how we lost our marriages and we lost our relationships and our jobs because of pride, and we don't want to look weak in front of these VA people, then guess what they're gonna do? Well, I guess your life's not that bad, MD. So here you go. No
Anything you say
compensation
can
for
and
you.
will be held against you.
Exactly. In the court of the VA. That you know me, that's my saying, man. You really have to be careful. And that's why people look at me when I say this and say, well, why would you say that if you have a business? And I'm a realist. If the VA was doing everything they're supposed to do for veterans, I would not have a job. I wouldn't need to have a job. That's like you said, there should be you leave the military, get an exam, they check you over, they know what you've been through. They say, okay, you didn't come in with any of these conditions. Check, check, check. Here's your service connection. Thank you for your service, sir or ma'am.
Right.
Go right out into the sunset and live your best life the best you can, right? But that's not what happens.
Not a
Is
perfect world.
kicking the butt. No, man. You get kicked in the butt, door slammed in the butt. Thank you for your service. That aches and pains you have, go see the VA about it, but good luck trying to get compensated for it.
Yeah,
And
we'll treat you, but won't
veterans,
compensate you.
I want to
and
thank both of
again,
you gentlemen for your service, as well as all the veterans that
Well,
listen. Thank you guys for
thank you,
appreciate
thank
it.
you,
protecting us. And I'm glad you're
thank.
getting your just due, Ali and
Oh
J
yeah,
Reid. And
definitely.
if you're
Thank you.
not getting
Thanks
your
to
just due,
JReid.
Y'all need to go
Thanks to
see
JReid.
JReid, man.
Now, just a fun fact: the female prisoner that I spoke about earlier, her name was Shoshana Johnson, and she's Panamanian, ironically.
Mm.
Oh,
She's
there you go.
Panamanian born.
Small world.
So yeah.
And that's the
Now
thing
you
too. I was shocked. There's a lot of Panamanian veterans over here too, but the problem is with this company, we can only service United States citizens. That's why it's like we don't want to. That's what the whole problem was when what happened with the previous company. We couldn't use our licenses to go help Panamanian, even though we would love to go out there and help the Panamanian vets. It's illegal. We can only. We're an American company, even though we're digital nomads and working in another part of the world. Legally, we can't take jobs from Panamanians, or we can't take money or clients from Panamanians in that way. So that's why being able to do this from this part of the world and still maintain my mental health, because we made that choice to move to a quieter, safer mountain climate away from all the hustle and bustle,
now
it's quite possible.
you mentioned P&T. For those that's
Yeah.
not sure, what does that mean?
So permanently and total. And do not get it confused with TDIU. And I'm gonna explain them both because that's kind of one of the number one questions or myths I want to bust, I should say. I'm gonna call it a myth buster. I will have a veteran come to me and say, "Hey, JReid, I want to go to 100%. I know I'm warranted, but I heard that if you're 100%, you can't work." Completely false. And I don't know who started that rumor, but it's one that has stopped thousands, if not millions of veterans from going and getting their service connected because they feel like it's something wrong they're doing. So
I said
that's
at one
completely
point, yeah.
false. Yes. And the other caveat is a lot of us feel like we're taken away from other veterans when we go for benefits. That's another myth that we got to get out of our heads too, because again, that money is there for all of us to use and it's paid for 5-10 years in advance. Don't have that mentality. So that being said, you really have to decide for yourself. If you're not doing it for, because different veterans do this for different reasons. Let's keep it real. Some veterans need that extra income in their bank account every month to get some breathing room because their conditions are really bad and they want to provide for their family. I literally had another veteran tell me, "Dude, I'm single. The money every month is whatever. I only want to get this done because when I get to 100% permanently and total, I can pay off $13,000 in property tax every year. Not one-time fee. This man is paying $13,000 a year in just property tax. So when it becomes permanently and total, guess what happens? That goes away. That in itself is an incentive. So the bennies, those benefits, is what really gives
Yeah.
these veterans that drive. If you're not doing it for yourself, do it for your kids' college because they can get free college if you're 100% P&T. Or do it for the healthcare benefits in Champ VA. Once you're 100% P&T, you can put your spouse, your kids, everybody on healthcare and not have to go out of pocket in that way. So there's benefits to it. The only
Now there
time you can't,
is.
go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead. I think you were leading to what I was going to ask you. Go ahead.
Yeah, the TDIU.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So there is TDIU, which is temporary disability individual unemployability. It's a mouthful. But what it basically means is any veteran that's from around 70% to 90% or so, if they can't maintain gainful employment, if their service connected disabilities are stopping them from working or functioning, even though they're not at 100%, the VA will come back and say, "Hey, look, they could do two things because TDIU can work for almost like workman's comp. If you feel like you got injured at the job on drill, they'll pay you at the 100% rate until you get better, and then they'll take it away again." So that's the caveat to that. Is a lot of veterans get used to that 100%, and then when it gets taken away, their mental health goes all over the place because a lot of people kind of live that lifestyle. Once the money goes up, they don't remember that that's not forever. It's temporary. That's what the T stands for. When it comes to, and again, if you're temporary P&T, you can only earn 12 to about 14 grand in 1 year. If you earn more than that and you're collecting TDIU from the government, they'll take it away. And that's what people mean by you can't work if you're 100%, but they mean TDIU. Now, the difference between that and permanently and total, like I am and Ali is, When you're permanently in total, that means that the VA acknowledges that all of your conditions, or if not most of them, are considered what's called static. When it's static, that means that it's not considered to get worse over, or to get better over time, sorry. If it's not going to get better over time, they know there's no need to keep bringing you back in for more exams, right? Because they establish it's not going to get better over time. So how that works is the more conditions that you have in that static status, the higher rate or the higher probability that you're going to be permanently in total. The other caveat to it is if you're 55 or older, typically once you get to 100%, that's almost like an automatic permanently in total, because after that age, again, conditions don't reverse. I like to say the saying, there's no 90-year-old jumping up and down saying, hey guys, I feel like a spring chicken like I was 40. It doesn't happen. People they get worse over time.
I
So you're
wish.
not just getting right, you're not just getting compensated for the quality of life that you lost. You're not just getting compensated for the quality of life that you're losing right now. You're getting compensated for the future as well, the opportunities and the jobs and the things that you're going to miss out on because of your service connected disabilities. And that's the part that veterans usually miss too, and get into this thing, well, I don't want to take money. This is about your future. If you are broken and you wait till you're 75 and then try to still go to the VA, and then that takes another 2-3 years, by the time you're done, even if you're 100% P&T, how are you going to enjoy it? Your whole adult life is already a wash after, as far as the aches and pains and not getting compensated and living a better life because you have that cushion. So ReidinHealth, again, we're healthcare professionals, and I think putting that at the forefront, taking care of the veteran is only going to be a byproduct. It's automatic because that's in us. When we help a person, we want to help a person, not just a goal or not just a means to an end. This is a person that has a common ground. Like I said, I can relate to Ali because we both serve in the service and we left with conditions that we didn't join with. It's only fair that we get
Exactly.
compensated if for the rest of our lives, these things that we did to put our minds and our bodies for our country doesn't bear, and legally, morally, and ethically, you deserve
Right.
it. And that's the bottom line, regardless of what people think. Legally, morally, ethically, get your benefits. Don't keep saying that you're gonna wait till next year, or you're gonna wait till your bad
I've
buddy
heard
comes
that.
back with his claim, right? Or
Yeah.
hey, I want to test out, see if my buddy gets his claim in first, and then that's more money that you're losing, more days you're robbing yourself, more days and years you're robbing your family, and that generational wealth, it's super important. That's another part that people don't think about. Once you get to your 100% P&T, now you don't have to worry about scrounging up to save for your kids' college. That's taken care of. The healthcare, that alone is millions of dollars over the space of any lifetime. That's one
Exactly.
ICU visit in my job for just to even get the bed when I was working at the bedside, just to hold the ICU bed before you even get into it. So it's sometimes $3,000 to $4,000 that cost that family before that patient even touched the pillow, bro. That's not including the X-rays, CT scans, and by the time they're done, I've had people come in with their minks and their rings and all that stuff, and they look down on other people and they say, oh, homeless people this and homeless people that. And then they go to the hospital in the ICU for 3 or 4 days, and that bill hits them. And then they understand all it takes for you to be homeless. And just like that veteran or that other fellow man that you stepped over on your way to work today, you may be just like them because your hospital bill is $750,000 for 4 days of staying in the hospital. Now you're just like them. So I tell people, don't look down on people. Find the lie, brothers. It really is that
I,
simple. I've had people
Nah,
come in
man,
and be
you tell the
bankrupt
truth.
in one visit. So
I can tell
in
you,
that sense,
I
yeah.
had civilian insurance. Not to cut you off. Last year,
No, you're good.
around October. Yeah, I failed and I had an accident and I had to go to the emergency room and get stitches. And even after my civilian insurance kicked in and paid, I still got hit with a 3,000 and some dollar bill. And it felt
Yeah.
good to be able to call the VA and say, because I'm 100% P&T, and say, hey, I had to go to the emergency room, nearest emergency room. I had to have stitches. I got a $3,000, $3,500 bill sitting here. And she said, let's call them up right now. and we
Send it
call
on
them up
over.
and they say, charge that to this account right here and see
Done.
$3,000 go away. And even better, student loan debt when you're 100% P and T.
I can
Quarter
talk about
million
that
dollars.
personally too.
Yeah.
Oh man. I didn't quite get the $250,000 on my student loans, but that $23,000 for that bachelor's degree, I even say to this day, man, I'm not too proud to say I cried like a freaking toddler, man. That to streaming it down there. It's because that $23,000 could be put to, again, kids' college, car, living a better life. And again, we're not gonna get on the debate about why education is so freaking expensive. That's a whole nother podcast, a whole other radio session. We'll do that another time, another
Facts,
time,
man.
because
Facts.
it really is a problem. Thank God for YouTube, and thank God for people out there putting out information. So if kids are not the academic types, man, they can go on YouTube and learn a trade and provide for themselves. I think that's amazing. And again,
That is
another
amazing.
conversation. Dude, we didn't have that opportunity when they were the age.
No,
We had to go out there and work at freaking
it was
McDonald's and
trial
freaking
and error.
Target. Bruh, these 18-year-old kids are coming out of here as entrepreneurs, bro,
Yeah,
opening
bro.
their own businesses. And I
Yep.
love it. I
I do too.
absolutely
Military,
love it.
the military was our YouTube back in the day.
Facts.
Prior to the
All
internet,
day.
that's the only reason why I went in there. You go into the military because you didn't know what else you want to do with your life, and you didn't have a skill. So it was
Yeah.
the military
Hey,
was your YouTube.
Facts.
absolutely.
That make
Go
you
in there
grow
and
up.
at least exactly. And some people need that discipline too. I grew up with my grandparents, so that wasn't my bag. I already have plenty of discipline
Right.
to go around for everybody. But at the same time, you know what the scary part is too, guys? It's like this is stuff they don't prepare you for. When you go into military at a certain age, it's all good because you lived a little bit of life. If you're going at in your 20s or 30s, at least you've had a couple jobs, you had a couple experiences. Going in at 17 years old, you're with these grown, seasoned men, and you're in this bus pulling up to the basic training, and you see these big, grown, 6'3" dudes boo-hoo crying, right? And you're 17 and you're a kid. You're like, if these dudes can't hold it together, what the heck am I about to go through? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So depending on the age you join, you really grow up in the military. And
Yeah.
it's harder for some vets to unlearn that depending on what stage in life when they joined. And a lot of people don't think about that way
That
because
makes
if you're
sense.
17, dude, if you're 17 to 22, you grew up in the military. That's kind of who you are to a
Yeah,
point.
so you
If
stuck in
you're
that life for real.
35, right, and
Well,
you then that mentality is there.
I still
Absolutely.
wear black t-shirts and black socks, and I still fold my shirt in those little
That's what I'm
squares,
saying.
and I still have to have my socks separated from my t-shirt,
That's what
and
I'm
everything
saying.
has to be a separate way. I guess it's based on that
And it
military
always
learning.
depends on
Going
how
in at
long you were
18,
in too. Yeah, it
Yeah.
depends
going
on
in
how
at
long you were
18,
in
it's
too.
like I can't wear
Yeah,
another shirt besides a black shirt because in Air Force we wore black shirts. And still
bro.
to this day, there's just certain things that the military put in me that
Black shirt.
it's just there. It's just me now.
Yeah,
Man, I hope they out for
it's
the
part
good
of
though.
us. Yeah, it's part of us. And I'm glad you brought that up because that's another thing that again, I've heard people come back and say that we saved their life, not just about the money. And I'm gonna give a very quick example about this. When we go in as men, usually, you know, a lot of us are taught boys don't cry, even before the military. That's just life.
Facts.
Oh,
Especially
suck
in
it
the
up.
black
Don't use
community.
that part. Don't show weakness. If you crying, you're gonna get something to cry for. How many times I've heard that? I don't even want to
Yep.
count. Don't cry. I'm gonna give you something to cry for, right? We've been there.
Shit hurt.
People can call it what they want, but right
Beating me.
until the point, and it's a lose-lose because guess what? If you cry,
You
it's
getting
worse.
beat.
If you don't cry, you think you're a man, huh?
Bruh.
Yeah.
Psychological warfare, bro.
Dude. So that's how that goes. But at the same time, man, we have to realize too that when we go into these experiences, even though we're trained to deal with the stuff that happens while we're in, it doesn't mean it's normal for human beings to go through.
Yeah,
Another example,
that
people
part.
think you have to be out there. My truth isn't every other veteran's truth. people always tell me something, and it almost pisses me off because they're like, "Oh, well, at least you were deployed and you got to see action." And I'm like, "This
What?
ain't Call of Duty." First of all, I I know y'all over here thinking that it's Call of Duty and it's all fun over there, but I'm gonna promise you,
No.
if I could sit and be supplied behind a desk for 4 years versus doing that crap twice, trade, brother, all day, all day long. I'll take it. You know what I mean? You
I
say
know
that
it.
I know it's supposed to be radio, but I can see at least I've heard it, man.
That's fine.
People actually want that, and I'm like, trust me, you don't.
Nah.
No,
You
I know
not
what you
that.
mean, because when I was in the DCI National Guard, I had to tell a young airman we were getting ready to. They were talking about calling us up to
Crazy.
Turkey to deploy, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm ready to go. I'm ready. I'm ready." And I'm like, No, son. This on TV. When you get over there and
It
these
is,
bullets start flying, you ain't going home. Ain't no cut. Ain't nobody saying cut. This ain't Channel
Hey,
5.
power down.
These bullets is
I'm
for
so
real.
glad. Look,
When you get your
power
arm
down
blew
is
off
not
and the
even.
bombs going off, no, sir. You do
Look,
not
I'm a,
want this. It look good to come
the,
home a hero. You ain't guaranteed to come home when these bullets flying for real.
Exactly.
and at the end of the day, too, it's like, and it's not a disrespectful thing by any means. Like the people that have Purple Hearts or Medal of Honor, all that stuff, they gave limbs, life, all that stuff.
Mhm.
But at the end of
Yeah.
the day, that medal is not gonna give that family, that veteran back. It's not gonna.
Nope.
It's it's a medal. I get it. It's not disrespectful to that medal because people really gave a lot to get those. But at the end of the day, that family does not have that man or that woman or that child in their
Yeah,
life
man.
anymore. And it's just something that you can frame in your house. I get it. But in the military, when you after you get, like I said, you don't have to be shooting rockets and
You
dodging
don't.
bombs and stuff like that to be screwed up or have some issues from mental health. And I always give this example. Had a veteran watch his battle buddy drown in basic training. That's his basic training. 30 years later, guys, this man has never taken his kids or his family to a pool, the ocean, nothing. And he didn't even realize it until I said, and this is why I love what I do as far as the healthcare part, because I want people to think about the whole picture. I say, hey, bro, why is it that you feel like you're not taking your family to the pool? Or because I keep hearing that my bada buddy screams, or I keep hearing, or I can see him in there and I see my kids. And I
Mhm.
told him, you literally robbed yourself and your family over something that's supposed to be normal, and you didn't put the two together. And it wasn't condescending him, it was just to get his eyes open. Like, this impacted your life for 30
Mm,
years. Your kids never been to the pool, bro. And it's only
mm.
because of that memory you have. It's not because they don't deserve it. And he broke down, right? Because it's heavy, it's real, and they don't think about it that way. So you have to put things in perspective. Another story, veteran is sitting in his backyard. His 5-year-old kid is out there playing with the ball by himself. Neighbor comes over, nice guy, says, I see all your flags on your porch, sir. I see that you're, and Veterans Day is a perfect time to talk about it. You have the flags going, fireworks, whatever. He says, I see all that. I know you were in the military, sir, but don't think that I'm disrespectful or trying to encroach on you. But if you ever need me to help throw a ball with your kid, because I see that you're struggling and you can't do it, and your kid is upset and he's yelling, and I can't imagine what that feels like as a father. I don't want to disrespect you, bro, but like anytime you want, I will come over. Now imagine how that father felt. And it wasn't because the guy was trying to be a, a, a nosy Nelly or whatever. He literally watches his neighbor every day struggle just to throw a ball with his boy. And he feels like less of a man now because some stranger has to come over to his house and offer that. Even though he was grateful for it, think about it. How would you
Mhm.
feel as a man, you know? That type of stuff, you have to have those deep conversations. And that's where this claims process, people try to make it very transactional.
You
And the
helped me
VA
out
doesn't respond
personally.
to that.
And you helped me out personally. I mean, like when I was deployed to Turkey, I was only there for like 4 months. So people think
Mhm.
like you going on a vacation, but in a way, it's almost like being in prison. It's like I go to Turkey and I'm excited when I first get there. And then it's like after the first week, it's like, man, I'm away from my family. I only get a phone call
Everything.
maybe At that time, we didn't have cell phones or anything like that. And you've
Bro,
been in the military. Whenever you deploy, there's that one guy that's gonna get that phone call from his wife, girlfriend, or whatever that she didn't tell him. Now she didn't wait until he's deployed to say she's screwing to his buddy or the neighbor or
Yeah.
whatever. Now he's
look,
mad. He breaks the phone. He's all upset.
bro.
Yeah,
You know what? I don't even mean to laugh, man, because you
it's so
literally
common.
described Christmas morning when I was in Afghanistan. Our platoon sergeant got a phone call just like that. You can't make this stuff up. We're all in the little area sitting around. He picks up the phone. All we hear is, "What do you mean your boss is at our house for Christmas? Doesn't he have a family?" "No, man, he can't stay there." And we heard her over the phone. "I'm gonna do whatever the F I want. He's staying, and you over there's nothing you can do about it." Hung up the
Do
phone.
veterans
All
like
of
that?
us,
Women, please don't do veterans like
bro.
that.
I was like, this man is over here risking
Like,
his life, and now
how
he
you
has to
focus
think
after that?
about, bruh.
It's common
This
though.
is the
It's a common thing. Women are low
Jesus.
down.
Dude.
How do you
Some of the
I
focus
can
ones
after
I've
like
that?
seen.
I don't know what kind of if this is PG type of radio or whatever, but on offline, bro, I got stories for
We can
y'all.
say,
And
oh yeah, we can say we got Tim. We're gonna have to wrap up pretty soon. But like I said, I
yeah,
want to
no
thank you
worries.
for helping me because, like I said, I wasn't one of those veterans. By the way, I didn't get that call when I was in Turkey. But what did
Right.
happen while
Lucky
I was
you.
in
Lucky you.
Turkey? What did happen
Right.
while I was in Turkey was, have you heard of the big quake in '98 in Adana, Turkey? I still got you. I was a part of that earthquake
Wow.
there in Adana, Turkey when it broke out. And I never forget, I was working, even though I was TDY, I was working part time at the BX. And I remember I was talking to an off duty officer waiting to get off. And it was just like big noise just bust out loud. And I thought it was, the radio department over there turning up some of the stereos. That's how I know everything went dark, stuff started crumbling, and I don't even know how I got it, where I got to the door frame, but all I know is concrete just falling everywhere. I couldn't look up, and I just thought I was gonna die. And I didn't. At this point, you don't know if I'm bummed. I don't know if I'm bummed or what the hell is going on. I'm just sitting there. All I know is I'm in the door frame and I'm shaking. And I don't even know. I literally like lost consciousness from the time it happened till I got to the door frame. All I know when it was over, I guess I grabbed the guy that was with his shirt and I just went where he went. Because I remember when I finally came to my senses and looked down, I was clenched on to his shirt and everybody's kind of sat there and then we kind of ran out. Well, to this day, I didn't realize that, I don't like people loud noises in the house. If you've been around me, if you shout my
Nope.
name or some shout or give me, I will get pissed to the heels.
It
You
triggers you.
better
It's
want
a trigger.
something. It's a
It's a
trigger. And I
trigger.
didn't realize
All
that I
day.
was suffering from that until I talked to JReid and was working with him that, hey, that you got a trigger that's going all the way back from the earthquake in Turkey.
All day.
So
And even that trigger thing you just I'm gonna leave y'all with is again, I can give y'all stories for days because I've been doing it so long, but I like to caveat on things that are brought up because it makes the point emphasize even more that we're not just saying this stuff just to say it. It's not just
mhm.
singular to Ali. It's very simple. This firefighter, oh, rewind. Guy went into the basic training, went to the gas chamber like we all do. It sucked, pretty sucktastic. Nobody likes the gas chamber, but this guy literally lost it. Like pulled it off, fought
Oh shit.
sergeants. He lost it, right? Documented in his records and everything. Further down, he became a firefighter. Now, this is where again the whole ReidinHealth thing and the whole healthcare background thing comes in, and the way you say things to the VA, you have to be very careful. He went to the VA and told him he's claustrophobic. He has to wear a mask to be a firefighter to fight fires. Of course he does. But what he did not tell them was that fear, claustrophobia, that freaking out started in basic training. It's not because he's a firefighter and has to wear a mask that he has
Mm.
anxiety. He didn't put that together. So when he went to them, guess what they did? Oh, you just got
Nope.
anxiety because you're a firefighter and it's dangerous and you have to wear a mask. And when I
Yeah.
told him, why didn't you tell them about what happened in basic training? He's like, oh my God, JReid, I didn't even think about it. That service connection, that link to your service, whether it be an incident or a service connected condition, that is the key to any claim because the VA will always try to say, prove to us that it's not because of something you did outside your service, before your
Yeah.
service, or whatever. And that's the caveat to all this. That's the problem. They'll treat you, they'll diagnose you, but they will not admit that they caused the condition. And that's why you have to have these outside
Jay,
doctors
tell
back.
them how they can find you.
Well, you got a few ways. You got a website, you got ReidinHealth.com, and that's, you can ReidinHealth.com, ReidinHealth.com. You have my email address, JReid inhealth@gmail.com. And also we have an assistant we can reach out to. I have a flyer, everything. So anything you guys need or anything the veterans need, they can reach out to us in that sense. And I have everything ready. Like, again, I can send you the stuff here on the the chat, or we can get it later. But I'm gonna just type in my email here, Reading Health.
But we want to thank you, JReid. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, man.
You coming
Yeah.
on the show.
Yep, got you covered.
But all the
Here's
veterans,
my
please look him up. He's got a lot of good information for you. And of course, check him out on our YouTube channel, After Five, the podcast, or Lifestyle After Five on YouTube, where he has given if you want to catch him visually, where he's given an interview there.
Appreciate that.
So yeah, thank you, JReid. And for all the veterans, like I said, the man is tried and true. I can personally attest to that. And if you
Appreciate
feel
that.
that you're suffering, from your surgery, from your service, by all means, reach out to JReid and get the benefits that you earned and deserved.
All day long.
And to
I'm gonna
next
leave
Wednesday,
y'all
Thank
with
you,
this.
go ahead.
JReid.
Go ahead.
No, absolutely. No, it's real quick. Just gonna leave it. And this is something I always try to, and I forgot to do it last time. Look, if you are a veteran or even not a veteran, you have that person in your life, man, whether it be a dog, a cat, your spouse, your kids, if they put up with your crap all these years, and I know you guys know what we mean, especially us veterans, but males, period, black males, whatever you want to call it, they stuck with us, honor their sacrifice, live up to it, and stick with that person, because they didn't have to put up with it. They didn't
Yeah,
have to
man.
stick with us when we were tripping and when we were going through our crap and not being understood. And a lot of people take that for granted. So go give them a hug. They may not know what it's for. Just say thank you. And you never know, man. That means a lot. Just thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for putting up with me. I appreciate it. You didn't have to, but you're here. I promise you that person will appreciate that more. They may not say anything, but in the back of their head, they're like, at least they know that I have their back. It works. All right, guys. It's been
Yes, sir.
always a
Yes,
pleasure
sir.
coming on here. I really, again, Reading Health is part of it, but I know that this forum has so much more. And there's so much more that I know we can talk about, because we're on like minds, we're on the same wavelength. A lot of us have the same experiences again. And there's a lot of knowledge that we can help impart on each other and other people out there, claims or no claims, because I think there's not too many forums like this out there. And I told you guys this the last time, and I wish that more men, women even, will just get into groups and just communicate, because a lot of times we all have common ground, but we just make a bunch of assumptions and we never get that help. That person could be going through something that they went through 5 years ago, and if you don't open your mouth, you don't get the solution. Closed mouths don't get fed, guys. Please be safe. Please have a happy Veterans Day. Thank you so much for having me on here again. Look forward to any other time you invite me, and spread the word. We're here to help these veterans, and we're here to do it for 3 times the increase. And you have the backing of knowing that you got somebody in living color that can attest to the credibility of our credentials and the amount of time I've been doing this. And being a veteran myself at 100% P&T, the process is the process, and I know how to get you there. So,
Your YouTube video does drop on Veterans Day. So those that are
oh,
running the Lifestyle After
outstanding.
Five channel. So this is our Veterans Day gift to all the veterans out there that
Yes,
serve.
sir.
I love
Well, I
Definitely,
want
that.
to
man.
thank you again for coming on. Thank my
Absolutely.
co-host MD Red.
Man. Yeah, definitely, man. It's a great information as always.
And of course,
Got
the
you guys
manager
anytime.
Shoot that keep everything going. Till next time, and to next Wednesday, y'all take care and be safe out there.
Peace.
Hey, namaste. Take care, guys.
Let's